Oh, Vince, it is freezing, but that's not stopping me from getting to the studio. I'm so excited for Temple Timeout.
Yeah, I know we have to talk men's basketball. They did lose 2 games in a row, but 15-6 on the season. They're still looking to get into that NCAA tournament.
And how about the women's gymnastics team? They had a huge home meet, and India Anderson, her floor routine, oh, you have to see it.
And even out of season, we're talking Temple football, this time to the NFL. Raquel Armstead and Rocky Sin are going to the Senior Bowl. I'm super excited.
I know you're excited, and I'm ready, but first, let's take a timeout. Hello and welcome to Temple Timeout, the official web series of Temple Update Sportsdesk. I'm Bree Hofsass. That's Vince Call. We have a lot in store for you today.
Yeah, we're kicking things off, getting you up to date with the 15-6 Temple men's basketball team. They were in action in the Lone Star State on Thursday, so let's take you right there. The Owls went down hoping to give them problems, and here's Q Rose with the dish to Ernest Flackby for 2, but let's not let that play fool us because they were anything but productive in this game. They went 34% from the field, but somehow they were still able to keep it close. I guess we can give a huge shout out to this guy, Q Rose, putting the team on his back with 26 points and 4 assists. And the second half, the Owls were right on the tails of these guys.
You know, they were right on the tail of the Cougars. Here's a dagger from Corey Davis to put Houston up by 5. And then Houston's going to be right back at it with another mid-range jumper to pull ahead by 7. And it wouldn't get much closer for the Owls after that. But here is a sweet dime from Q Rose to Nate Pierre-Louis. Ultimately, it wasn't enough to snap that 31-game win streak at home for the Cougars. Houston pulls away with a 73-66 win. And, you know, if you're just tuning into the season, the Owls are riding a 2-game losing streak, but that's really not any inclination of their 15-6 season. There have been highs and there have been lows, but in Fran Dunphy's last season, the Owls have themselves in a pretty good position with March just 4 weeks away.
Yeah, you look at this season, I mean, they started the year 10-2, which is the best start since the 2009-2010 season, and the only thing is they've been 5-4 since. You look at some notable wins over Houston, South Florida, and Memphis, and notable losses. Of course, you're going to lose that one to Villanova. Penn was an alarming loss, even though they're having a pretty good season this year, and Cincinnati, where they were out-rebounded very bad. We're going to get into that for sure.
And, you know, at this point in the season, ESPN has the Owls at a 61% chance of making the tournament. So if all goes to plan, the question isn't if the Owls make the tournament, it's how far they can go. And with that, it's debate time. The Sports Desk's Brian Steinmetz is here to change Vince's mind about just how far he thinks these Owls can go in the postseason. Brian, it's great to have you on desk.
It's great to be on the desk, and I will change your mind about the Owls making the tournament because they're going to, and here's why. Look, obviously Temple's not going to win the national championship. They're not a powerhouse. They don't have Zion Williamson or anything, but they will have enough power to bust some brackets. They'll make a dent in the tournament. Now, to do that, they need their elite guards to come to play like they have all season long. Yep. That'll be dangerous when it comes to the dance. Shiz, Quentin Rose, Nate Pierre-Louis, all 3 of those guards are the only 3 to average double figures in points for the team. Now, Nate Pierre-Louis is second on the team in rebounds, and that's a big kid.
But, you know, Brian, Shiz Alston is coming off a game where he had no assists, 3 turnovers, only 6 points, and Quentin Rose is coming off a game against Cincinnati where he didn't have a strong showing either. And it seems that those two kind of play inversely with each other. When you have that in addition to their lack of big man, that has to be a little troubling.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, I'm going to address this lack of big man problem here. I'm going to point to one game, and that was a loss to Cincy. They're out-rebounded 46-22 in this game. I mean, it was a 6-point game that they lost. Imagine what 5 or 6 more rebounds does in this game. That may turn into a victory for Temple basketball. They're second to last in rebounding offense. They're third to last in rebounding defense, so they just don't crash the boards that well. They're dead last in block shots. They're definitely, in my opinion here, I think they're missing a rebounding power forward, someone like a big, bruiser down low that, Temple usually has. But, Ernest Flackby, yeah, he's top 5 in the AAC. That has to do with the fact that he's the only one down there getting rebounds. You got the force coming in. J.P. Mormon is kind of a forward. You got Dre Perry. They're all kind of smaller guys that aren't going to be getting to the board. So I think lack of that big man, lack of those rebounds is really hurting this Temple team.
Yeah, but when they get into their run and gun game, they don't really need to be dominant on the boards.
I'm gonna tell you something my dad always told me about rebounds. It's all about hustle. So they don't necessarily need a big guy to get the rebounds. They just need to hustle for it. I'm not saying they don't. I'm just saying it's a big key into it.
Yeah.
Now, talking about needing a big man, I don't necessarily believe that they need a dominant big man to be successful. I mean, we've seen all across the NBA, the NCAA. It's a guard-driven league now, right? The three-point line has been a lot more active the past few years, and that's really what it's come down to, in the NCAA and the NBA. Now, going over to steals for the guards, Temple ranks 12th in the nation in steals per game, and they have 3 guards, Shiz, Q, and Nate Pierre-Louis, all in the top 10 for the conference. Q Rose is 3rd, and Nate and Shiz follow at 6 and 7. And one last big point for me to get them into the tournament is definitely Fran Dunphy.
Yep.
His players are going to want to be, pushed to get him back into the big dance one last time to make a run.
Yeah, and I think the committee is going to be a little lenient on Dunphy and the Owls when they come Selection Sunday.
Yeah, I think they're going to need a couple more big wins on their resume, though, to really solidify their spot. You look at one big win it's Houston. Houston right now is 21-1. Even though they lost last night, Houston's only loss was Temple earlier in the season. And if you look at Temple's schedule, that's really their biggest win of the season, right? They've had tests at UCF, Cincinnati, Houston, 3 losses right there. So I think to get a win, another Houston-like win where you're beating off a big team, I think that's huge for Temple basketball. Listen, big teams show up in the big moments, and Temple has 6 or 7 more games in this conference stretch to end the season. So they're going to need their biggest plays in the biggest games.
Yeah, they just got to take it one game at a time. And hey, listen, you mentioned the schedule. Temple just plays whoever's put in front of them. I mean, they don't choose their schedule.
Right.
Yeah, the conference they do. But it's all about who they play and how they play. If they play up to their competition, they'll succeed. If they play down to it, then that'll show.
Exactly.
I think with the Big 5 and the double AC, the Owls will be just fine. I wouldn't count them out yet. And we still have 4 weeks to go until March, and anything can happen.
Sure.
But, moving from the hardwood to the mat, India Anderson and Temple Gymnastics won big in their first appearance at home this season. A clean sweep of Penn, Ithaca, and Ursinus, and India Anderson, she won first place for this floor routine. It was a career high score of a 9.9, and she was named ECAC Specialist of the Week. We caught up with her after the meet.
I mean, it's an incredible experience. I mean, I felt like a little kid again. I felt like I was that 4-year-old out there just doing my floor routine like I did for my parents and for my fans, and it was just amazing. There's nothing like it. And then for the team, we have so much more to come. Like, this is just, a little salt. You're going to put the pepper in a little bit later.
Hey, we are hoping for the best for this gymnastics team. They actually had a loss. They haven't won at home yet. Their first home meet, they got it done, so there you go. So now on to even more Temple Owls outperforming themselves, this time on a national stage as Rakia Sin and Raquel Armstead of Temple football represented Broad Street in the 2019 Reese's Senior Bowl. Now, this is held every year in Mobile, Alabama, and both players were able to boost their draft stock. You start with Raquel Armstead, though. He was the leading rusher on the South team, and he opened scoring with this touchdown. He's going to need a big couple of months to climb that draft board, while on the other end, Rakia Sin absolutely blew scouts out of the water. Opposing quarterbacks in this game only targeted Yasin 3 times in the Senior Bowl, but his week of practice was enough to peg him as a premier cornerback in this draft. Daniel Jeremiah from NFL Network lists him as the 31st overall prospect. That's any position, 31st overall prospect, and that's the 2nd overall cornerback. And if you remember, he spent just 1 season here after transferring from Presbyterian College, who cut their football program. He had 1 season to, figure it out, and he chose Temple. He chose Coach Collins, and looked like it really paid off.
And, just 2 years ago, Hassan Reddick went 14 overall in the NFL draft, and I think we all remember his incredible story. So another first-rounder might be closer to the Owls than they thought.
Seriously.
All right, but that's all we have for you today on today's edition of Temple Timeout. Make sure you're following us on social media for all your sports updates throughout the week, and you can follow us at @TU_Sportsdesk.
We will be back here, same time, same place next week. Thanks for watching.